Hi everyone, my name is Trey Yingst. I'm the chief foreign correspondent for Fox News, and we are joining you live from the Middle East with an update on the situation in Iran. We continue to cover this story around the clock, trying to get a better understanding of what is happening on the ground in this country of more than 90 million people. We're going to talk a little bit about what the situation looks like in the capital of Tehran and in other major cities like Isfahan, and then we will go into a deeper dive about the information that we're receiving, what we're tracking in the region as it relates to the movement of U.S. military assets. And then finally, you'll be able to ask questions in the comment section below. So whether you are joining us online, on Instagram, on Facebook, on X, or on YouTube, put your comments in the comment section below, and you can ask questions about our reporting and the situation on the ground in Iran. Again, if you're just now tuning in, my name is Trey Yingst. I'm the chief foreign correspondent for Fox News, and we are reporting now live from the Middle East. So to give you a quick overview about what our reports are focusing on today, this weekend we heard from Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, and he spoke about the demonstrations, admitting that thousands were killed. Iranian officials now are admitting that more than 5,000 people were killed since these anti-government demonstrations began in late December. Human rights organizations believe the number could be as many as 12 or even 16,000. The issue here is getting information confirmed out of Iran. There is still a widespread internet blackout for much of the country, and it is making it incredibly difficult to get new information in terms of not just intelligence, but photos and videos to be able to confirm numbers and those who were killed or injured during this demonstration that began as an economic demonstration with frustrations in late December from shop owners about the economic situation in Iran and the weak currency and poor living conditions. It's since expanded into a broader anti-government demonstration, and we know earlier this month that the Iranian regime cracked down on that widespread demonstration, not just in the capital of Tehran, but across the country, and it led to the deaths of thousands of protesters and the injuries of thousands more. And so Iran's supreme leader spoke this weekend. He blamed the United States for planning the demonstrations and supporting them. And there is no evidence that this is the case, but the supreme leader put this information out there before a crowd that had gathered in the capital of Tehran, and the crowd was chanting death to America and death to Israel. Now, President Trump responded actually to some of the comments from Iran's supreme leader, not just during those remarks, but also some of the ex-posts that he put online accusing the United States and the president himself of crimes. Now, President Trump responded saying that it's time to see new leadership in Iran. He was speaking with Politico when he made those remarks. And so if you have any questions about the situation in Iran or are reporting on the situation, you can put it in the comments below, and we will answer them live here as we are talking to you. As your comments and questions are coming in, again, my name is Trey Yingst. I am the chief foreign correspondent for Fox News. Whether you're joining us on Facebook, Instagram, X, or YouTube, put your comments below and I will answer them here. Our first question is there still a chance that the Trump administration will intervene to overthrow the regime? And the answer to that question is we know that there is a significant movement now of military assets in the region. We know that there are ongoing conversations about the potential of a possible strike or a possible cyber attack against the Iranian regime. And so we are tracking the movement of U.S. assets in the region and the movement of aircraft carriers, and we will continue to keep you posted on that. We simply don't know what the decision will be by the Trump administration. I'm going to look at a number of other questions here, and we will be able to answer them for you here. The next question is, will President Trump do anything to help Iran? The short answer is, again, we don't know. We don't know what the president is going to do, but we do know that his UN ambassador, Mike Waltz, made serious comments last week at the UN Security Council meeting talking about the situation and saying that the Trump administration stands behind the Iranian protesters. The next question is, who actually has power in Iran right now, the government, the streets, or the Revolutionary Guard? The power right now, the ultimate power belongs to Iran's supreme leader. There is power then given to the president, Masoud Pezeshkian, and other top officials. Right now, broadly, the demonstrations in Iran have slowed down. They've stopped in major places because of fears about the crackdown from the IRGC and from the other security forces that are operating. We've been talking with a number of people on the ground who have Starlink, and they have discussed the situation and saying that they're fearful about what comes next. They understand that even if you aren't killed in these demonstrations, that you can be injured. We spoke with people in Tehran, in Kermanshah, a largely Kurdish majority city in the western part of Iran, and also in Isfahan, which is just south of Tehran. And there is fear among the demonstrators and those who went into the streets earlier this month amid the crackdown. The next question is, are the protests still going on today? Again, there are limited protests that are taking place, but the large demonstrations that we saw earlier this month are no longer happening due to the crackdown and the mass killing and arrests of the demonstrators. A question here from the comments is, what's the Iranian sentiment among the people if the U.S. intervenes? Do people want the U.S. to? This is a great question. Iran is a country of more than 90 million people. And like all countries around the world, you have a spectrum of people. We have seen pro-regime demonstrations and we have seen anti-regime demonstrations. And you will continue to see this mixture of emotion and feeling on the ground about what should be done. The people that we are talking to that were part of the anti-government demonstrations say they want to see the United States get involved. They're calling on President Trump to be more directly involved in the support of these demonstrators over fear of what comes next and what will happen to those who were in the streets and were arrested. There's concern that hangings could take place. Remember, President Trump got directly involved to stop the regime from hanging around 800 people just a few days ago, but there is concern that that's just a temporary measure and that ultimately there could be a direct punishment or even the killing of those who are imprisoned in Iran. A question here is, if protests succeed, who realistically replaces the regime? Now, much of the Iranian diaspora is calling on Reza Pahlavi, the exiled prince, to take over. The reality is we don't know. It is so early in this story, and the regime is still in control of Iran. We don't know who would ultimately take over and what would happen if the regime were to fall. Someone asks if Irfan Soltani is okay. This is a 26-year-old who was arrested in early January, and his family was told that he was going to be executed. A very famous case that got international attention, a story that we had covered. We don't know the fate of Mr. Soltani. Ultimately, there were some mixed reports yesterday. Human rights organizations saying his family was able to visit him. There were other rumors circulating that he had been executed. We do not know the fate of this demonstrator or really the fate of any demonstrator in Iranian prisons right now, just given the internet blackout and the lack of information. The next question here is, what are the surrounding countries in the region saying? There are many Gulf countries who are talking about de-escalation. We've heard statements from Saudi Arabia and from Qatar and from Oman and from Turkey over concern about the possibility that if there are U.S. strikes against Iran, it could unravel into a broader regional war. And that's part of the concern that Israel has as well. Reports indicate that the Israeli leadership, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, asked for the Americans to delay strikes against Iran over concern that there could be a missile attack against Israel like we saw last year during the 12-day war in June of 2025. And as we saw during that time, despite the fact that Israel has extensive missile defense systems, they relied heavily on American assistance, vessels at sea, and American air defense systems, such as the THAAD system, to shoot down that incoming ballistic missile fire. And so we continue to follow the communication between the Americans and the Israelis, and clearly they are coordinating over a possible response against Iran, but we simply cannot predict the future. We don't know what comes next in all of this and whether or not there will be American strikes against the regime. Someone says, do you predict a change in power is coming in Iran? Again, we don't know what will happen, but we do know that the American military is posturing in the region. An aircraft carrier is on the way. There are U.S. assets already deployed in the region. Flight radar has been tracking a variety of military planes, including U.S. fighter jets and tankers for refueling that are deployed in the region now. And so certainly this is an indication that the United States is preparing for the possibility of strikes. But again, posturing and having the presence and the ability to strike doesn't mean that the United States will strike. We have to wait and see what will happen. Someone says, is there any way someone asks, is there any way America can help with the internet blackout in Iran? The United States and others like Elon Musk have done a lot to ensure that the Iranian people can be connected using these Starlink terminals and connecting via satellites to get information out to the world. There is an effort underway to ensure that the Iranian people can be connected, but when the regime is able to use military technology to crack down on the ability of people to access the internet or even to make phone calls or send text messages, it's incredibly difficult to do so. Yesterday, interestingly related to this topic, there was a cyber attack against Iran's state broadcaster, and ultimately they played video of the protests for the Iranian people who still had access to state media. And they also broadcast a message from Reza Pahlavi, the exiled prince. So we can expect more things like that to take place, but again, it is unclear who is behind that cyber attack, and there are limited ways that the United States and others are able to help the Iranian people to get back online. Someone asked, what did the Supreme Leader say about President Trump, and why are they threatening the United States? Iran's Supreme Leader called President Trump a criminal, and he said that the United States was involved in organizing the demonstrations against the regime. That isn't true, and there is no evidence that shows that the president was involved in planning these demonstrations. Again, they started out as demonstrations about the Iranian economy and the poor living conditions there and the weak currency, and then they expanded to broader anti-government demonstrations. And so, again, there is no way to verify any of that information, but we did hear the Supreme Leader make those remarks over the weekend on Saturday. Someone says, what concrete steps can be taken now to weaken the Iranian regime beyond statements and sanctions? The reality is there are two main levers that the Americans can pull. One has to do with economic sanctions, and the other has to do with military action. And we have seen in the past both of those be deployed. One of the times that we were speaking here on live, we actually brought to you that breaking news of the Iranians facing new sanctions from the Americans. Those sanctions were announced by the U.S. Department of Treasury. And last year, the U.S. decided to take military action at the end of the 12-day war against Iran, destroying Iran's nuclear facilities at Isfahan and Fordow and other locations. Again, if you're just joining us right now, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or X, my name is Trey Yingst. I am the chief foreign correspondent for Fox News, and we are reporting live on the situation in Iran and what's taking place there in the aftermath of these anti-government demonstrations. Someone says, can you talk about reaching out for videos from Iran? In terms of the information that we're getting from Iran, we are talking with people who are using Starlink. Some have been able to send limited photos and videos, but it's a way that we get information. Also, there are people in Western Iran who are able to use Iraqi SIM cards, who I've talked to get an understanding of what the situation is like in cities like Kermanshah in Western Iran and some of these Kurdish areas of Iran. If you have access to information or videos or photos, you can send them to us. My email is attached to all of my social media accounts at Trey Yingst. You can also send me a direct message there. And I would encourage you to watch our coverage on Fox News, because we are bringing you the latest information and videos that we can confirm out of Iran. The next question is Iran close to losing its water supply, and is the currency still collapsed? The Iranian currency is still quite weak right now, and the water supply is a major issue. It was an issue before these demonstrations began in Tehran, and there was discussion about even possibly temporarily or permanently moving the Iranian capital over the issue of access to clean water in the Iranian capital of Tehran. Again, I want to talk to you about Starlink. Starlink is the main way that the Iranian people are able to communicate with the outside world. Not just in Iran, but in many remote locations or areas that don't have access to the internet. Elon Musk has made a commitment to civilians around the world to connect them with the internet, to give them the ability to speak. And it's been so critical on the ground in Iran. The limited information and videos that we are getting from Iran would not be made available to the world if it were not for the efforts of Elon Musk and Starlink. There are civilians who continue to reach out to us via Starlink, and they are providing critical details about what's taking place on the ground. We're able to confirm where people were killed in what parts of Iran. We're able to get new information, like we were reporting yesterday, on security forces in some areas of Iran actually taking the bodies of demonstrators after they are killed in the streets of their country. And so this is critical information that we continue to bring to you to give you a better understanding of what is taking place on the ground. Again, my name is Trey Yingst. I'm the chief foreign correspondent for Fox News. and we are reporting live here from the Middle East about the situation in Iran. I'm going to take a couple more questions before we get off here. You can put them in the comments below. And if you have any questions about our reporting or the current situation on the ground in Iran, I'll do my best to answer them. In the meantime, I would encourage you to tune in to Fox News. We continue to cover this story from all angles with our correspondents on the ground, our anchors in Washington and New York, and of course our expert team of analysts and commentators who can provide a full understanding of what is taking place. The next question is UN reaction on the situation in Iran. Are they doing anything? Last week we did see that emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. That meeting was called for by the United States, and we heard from the UN ambassador Mike Waltz, who talked about how the United States is standing behind the people of Iran. And this is a common sentiment that we have heard from Trump administration officials, that they want to do what they can to stand with the Iranian people. But remember, with a country as big as 90 million people, there are limited things at certain times that any country in the world can do, or any individual. And so this is a moving and very complex story, and we continue to bring you as much information as we can about the situation on the ground so that you can get a better understanding at home about what is taking place. And so to conclude here, again, my name is Trey Yingst. I'm the chief foreign correspondent for Fox News. I want to thank you for joining us, whether it's on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. I would encourage you to share this video. If you learned something today, if you were able to get some questions answered, or you got new information about Iran, I would encourage you to share this video with your audience so that they can get some of that information. Of course, follow us on all social media platforms, subscribe, and be sure to tune in to Fox News Channel for the latest information from the Middle East and around the world on the situation in Iran. Thank you very much.